Hello, my name is Keeley and you're watching my booktube channel. So today I will be doing my July wrap-up, and I had a very good reading month. I actually read 10 books, which I am so pleased with. So pleased. And a lot of them were so good. And actually one of them was a reread, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So let's just get right into it. So the first book I read in July was Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson, and oh my gosh, I loved this. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads, and I actually read this while I was on a road trip, so it was perfect because I was going to some of the places that they went to, so it was just so like relatable to the characters and the places. And if you don't know what this is about, it is about a girl whose father recently dies in a car wreck, and so her mom decides to pick up her and her family and move from California to Connecticut. So they're moving across the country. And the daughter Amy moves about a month later, but she doesn't want to drive because of the accident, so it scared her. So her mom asks one of her best friend's sons to drive Amy across the country to her new home in Connecticut. And her mom has planned out this whole entire really boring itinerary, and Amy and Roger decide we're going to take a detour and we're going to do fun things and we're going to do what we're going to do. So there's romance that blossoms, and it's just really good, and I highly recommend it. The next book I read was The Her Campus Guide to College Life by Stephanie Kaplan Lewis, and this is basically just a guide to what you need to know in college. I think I gave this about a 4 out of 5 stars. It's really good if you're really nervous about college. I'm going into my sophomore year, so I thought it was a good time to pick it up because I finished the first year, but I'm still not sure what's going on. So if you're about to go into college, or if you still have a few more years, it'd still be a good book to pick up and read. It is about how to manage your class schedule, how to manage your social life, how to manage relationships and stress. And it's just good for health reasons too. It's like mental health, physical health, and it's just really good overall if you need help when you're going into college. So pick this up if that's what you're into. The third book I read was The Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and I was never forced. I was never required to read this in high school. But my little brother is going to be a freshman in high school, and this is on his required summer reading, so I thought I would pick him up so I could help him through the tests and papers if he has any questions. And honestly, I feel really bad for him because I did not like this book very much. I think I gave it like 3 stars, but okay, for me, it's like some classics read as classics and then some don't read like they're classics, and this book really read like a classic, so it was just really hard for me to get into, and I hate that. I just want to be able to read all the classics, and actually my favorite book ever is a classic, so I just wish I enjoyed it more. But if you don't know what this is about, it's basically about it's set in World War II, and these group of boys crash land on an island, and chaos erupts from there, and it's just crazy. It actually reminds me of Lost if the characters were children. And maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much, because the characters were really annoying, and the one character I like got killed off, so I was a little angry about that. But I did manage to finish it, and so hopefully my brother likes it more than I do. The next book I read was Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk. I can't even get over this book. I don't know if I'll ever get over this book. This might be my favorite book that I've read this year. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 5 stars. Like, oh, it was so good. This was actually originally written as a children's novel in German, but it was later translated to English. But personally, I don't think it reads as a children's novel. I think it reads more like a middle grade, and I love middle grade. But this is about dragons, and dragons are my favorite mythological creatures ever, and basically these dragons are living in like these caves in this valley, and one day there's thunder. Is it seriously gonna rain in South Texas? What? I'm so happy. Anyway, and one day the humans are starting to build where they live, so the youngest dragon of the group decides to set out and look for the Rim of Heaven, and the Rim of Heaven is known to be this myth among dragons, and it's where dragons go to be safe. And years and years and years ago, the dragons actually lived in the Rim of Heaven because they were chased out by this horrible monster that liked to kill dragons. And so on his venture to the Rim of Heaven, he picks up a human boy named Ben, and this little thing is a brownie, and it's kind of like a cat, but it's human size, so that's cool. Like, who doesn't want a human-sized cat? And it's basically about their adventure to the Rim of Heaven and all of the things that they have to get through to get there, and I love this cover. I really, really love this cover and this book, and I am so sad that it's a standalone because I just want more and more and more. It was so good. So, so, so good. So after that, I saw a book on my shelf that I knew that I had read, but I did not remember it at all, and it was written in verse, so I just thought it would be a quick little read, and it actually took me like an hour to read. And that book is I Heart You, You Haunt Me by Lisa Schroeder, and I didn't even know I had the Lisa Schroeder book because I've been wanting to read her books, and apparently I had read this, but I just didn't remember anything at all. And see, it's very, 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 very short, just written in verse, and it's about this girl who loses her boyfriend, and she starts to see him and hear him and feel him, and he's basically haunting her, so she has to figure out if she wants to live a normal life or just stay at home and date a ghost. So that's pretty interesting. I think I gave this about a 4 out of 5 stars maybe. I did enjoy it, and I actually cried at the end, so you know a book's good when it makes you cry. And after that book, I drew out of my TBR jar, and the book I picked out of there was Triangles by Ellen Hopkins, which is another author that writes in verse, and verse is one of my favorite writing styles ever, and Ellen Hopkins is one of my favorite authors ever, and I was actually really nervous to go into this book because it is an adult book, and it surrounds 3 main characters that are women, and their lives kind of intertwine, and the best way I can describe this novel is Gossip Girl for adults. That's what I was thinking the whole time. It's literally Gossip Girl, and I actually really enjoyed this. It was kind of like a guilty pleasure. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars, and the reason why it wasn't a complete 5 stars is because there is mature content in this, and so sometimes it was kind of uncomfortable to read. But if you like Gossip Girl, and you like Ellen Hopkins, and you like adult books, pick this up because it is very entertaining. The next book I picked up was Puppet by Pauline C. Harris, and she actually has a booktube, so I will link her down below. And she sent me this book for review, so I'm not going to say much about it. The only thing I'm going to say right now is it is a young adult sci-fi retelling of Pinocchio, and I very much enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So there is a review to come, so be looking out for that. And the next book I picked up is actually a reread, and it is Paper Towns by John Green. And I went and saw this movie on opening night, and I loved it. I am in love with that movie. I love it so much. It was so hilarious. It made me cry, laugh. It was so great. And I knew that there were differences between the movie and the book, especially when those rude girls behind me were like, that movie sucked. And I was just like, who are you to be judging this movie? What? But I loved it. I really did love it. So if you haven't seen it, really, you should go see it. And since I watched the movie, I decided to pick up the book and reread it because I just wanted to relive it all. And I have come to the conclusion that this is my favorite John Green book. And even after reading the book, after watching the movie, I love them both equally. I consider them separate pieces of art, and so I just love them both so much. And I'm pretty sure you've heard this, so I'm not gonna give you a summary, but it's great. And if you haven't read it, this is definitely a must-read John Green book. It's my favorite, and I love it. 5 out of 5 stars, always, always, always. The next book I picked up, I drew out of my TBR jar, and that is Cliffhanger, A Mystery in Mesa Verde National Park by Gloria Skorzinski and Elaine Ferguson, who are actually mother and daughter, so that's cool. And this is set in Mesa Verde National Park, and basically there's this family, and the mom is a veterinarian, so whenever national parks have animal crises, they call her and she flies out and tries to figure out what's going on. and in Mesa Verde they had a cougar attack, so she flies out and tries to help the park and see what's going on. But the day before they fly out, the social services come and give them a foster kid, and her name is Lucky. And Lucky is really mysterious, and you find out there's something not right about her. And so it's just basically a mystery that unfolds. And this is actually a children's book, and I only picked it up because I was in Mesa Verde, so I thought it was cool to get a book about the park while I was in the park. And at times I enjoyed it, but overall I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars, maybe 2.5, because this is a children's book, so I was thinking about reading it like in the children audience, and I just thought the topic at the end was way too serious for children, and it would just go right up over their heads, and I don't know, it just didn't float my boat, if you know what I mean. So yeah. The last book I read in the month of July was Hourglass by Pauline C. Harris. Again, she also sent me this one for review, and I loved it. I just finished it about 10 minutes ago, and oh, it was so good. So I am not going to say much about it other than it is a sci-fi retelling of Peter Pan, which is so cool, and I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe 4.5. I really enjoyed it, and I wish there would be more. Like, I wish it was a whole series, and it was just so great. And I will have a review to come for that book as well, so be looking out for that. So these are 8 of the books that I read this month. The other 2 I read on my tablet, which I haven't even hauled, so spoiler alert. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you read this month and what book was your favorite that you read this month. And I will see y'all next time. Bye!